George Groves becomes world super middleweight champion at the fourth attempt with a 6-round TKO win over Fedor Chudinov. Groves becomes the WBA super middleweight world champion. This is not the WBA regular belt, it's the super version of their belt. You know, the WBA with their foolish belt situation. Anyway, the fight was very entertaining while it lasted. Fedor Chudinov came out and immediately started applying relentless pressure behind a high guard and a solid, accurate jab. Groves was on the back foot. He looked a bit flustered at first, a bit ragged. He didn't look as sharp as I've seen him in the past, George Groves here. Took a couple rounds to really get into his flow. The turning point for me was when George Groves started going to the body, because Chudinov was blocking most of Groves' headshots with the high guard. So at one point, Groves started going to the body. I think it was after George Groves got cut. I believe it was a clash of heads in the third or fourth round that caused the cut. Groves started banging Chudinov to the body, and I was actually screaming at, you know, the TV telling Groves, go to the body, go to the body. And it's as if he heard me because he started going to the body. Obviously, he didn't really hear me, but you know what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Groves, go to the body, go to the body. I will. Actually, my computer monitor, I don't watch on TV. But yeah, I was screaming, go to the body. He started going to the body and he hurt Chudinov to the body. And he also slowed down Chudinov's attack. And bizarrely, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I heard wrong here, but in between rounds, I think I heard Shane McGuigan, his trainer, telling him to stop going to the body and concentrate on headshots. To me, that was madness, because the body shots were by far the most effective shots he'd thrown up until that point. But he did then come out and started landing headshots, and he took him out with headshots. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe McGuigan knew better than me and knew what he was doing. But from what I saw, the body shots are very effective. They were backing Chudinov off, and they were getting Groves more time and more respect and more space to get his shots off. Perhaps it was a combination of the two things. Perhaps he'd done enough work to the body to get Chudinov off of him and slow him down a bit, and that's why McGuigan told him to switch it to the head. If he did indeed say that, maybe I got my wires crossed. But whatever the case may be, in the sixth round, Groves put together a very good attack, started unloading shots, and Chudinov was taking clean headshots. He never went down, but he was taking a lot of clean headshots without reply. And perhaps the referee kind of had Edward Goodnecht, George Groves' last opponent, in the back of his head when he saw Chudinov taking them kind of punches. And, you know, we wondered before the fight if Groves would maybe lose some of that finishing instinct after what happened in the Goodnecht fight, but he didn't. He kept relentlessly throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing, and he wasn't thinking about Edward Goodnecht in that moment. At least it didn't look like he was. And that's what you have to do in boxing. You have to be ruthless, because if you're not, your opponent will be. So he went for it. The referee jumped in. Some people are going to call premature stoppage. I can understand that, but we don't want another Edward Goodnecht situation. And at the end of the day, Chudinov didn't go down, but why was he allowing himself to take that many clean headshots? You know? Respond, throw something back, at least move your head or do something to show that you're not out of it. When you're just standing there and you're taking headshots, I mean, he might have been able to come back after that, but I can understand why the referee stepped in at the end of the day. Too many unanswered punches. I know Chudinov still had his hands up, but the big shots were getting through. So it's definitely a stoppage that people are going to debate, but let me know how you felt about it. George Groves can now go on and start talking to the likes of James DeGale, maybe on a even pegging now and level pegging as a, as someone who also holds a world title belt. James DeGale is the IBF champion, George Groves is WBA champion. So he's going to be able to look him eye to eye and say, okay, let's go 50-50. What are you saying? So, yeah, good performance by George Groves at the end of the day. Definitely not the most difficult person to win a world title against, Fedor Chudinov, I think it has to be said, but he's a good, solid fighter. Happy for Groves, his fourth attempt at world title, he finally gets it, and hopefully we see some good domestic showdowns now, because you've got Callum Smith, who's going for a world title against Darrell, and you've got James DeGale out there. So there are some, good domestic showdowns to be made if Callum Smith particularly can win the world title, the WBC version. It could be like the 90s all over again with, You know, a great domestic world title scene in the super middleweight division. So let me know what you thought about Groves' performance. Who would you like to see him fight next? What did you think about the stoppage? So on and so forth. All right, it's happening. I'm out.